Welcome to today's edition of the review of what's going on, the reality, cutting through the bullshit. What we've got here is a news article on the BBC News, and at first glance it appears to be a baby throwing the dummy out the pram, but it's actually extremely dangerous and it's much more to that. Let's go into the article slightly, Kate. This is the BBC News, obviously today, which is the 16th of December on the Wednesday 2015. David Cameron, which is the British Prime Minister, is preparing to use the full force of the law to clip the wings of the House of Lords after it blocked his welfare cuts, the BBC has learned. What does that mean? Well, earlier on this year, the House of Commons David Cameron basically wanted to reduce the tax credits, which is a sort of benefit to people who have children, including both working and non-working parents. So it's, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but it's, it's not only for mothers or fathers who don't work. It's for both. It's for people who work and don't work, but who may be on a low income. Anyway, he wanted to cut that down, and after a big sort of row in the Commons, they agreed, and then it went to the House of Lords, and they said no. So now he's spat his dummy out, and he basically wants them. It's an overreaction according to Labour, which of course is the opposition to the Conservatives, but he wants to remove their powers to say no to his ideas and instead be offered a new power. It makes it sound like, we're going to get rid of this one, give you that one, fair's fair. But actually, the only thing that they can do is say no, have a think again, send them back to the Commons, forcing them to vote again, but they'll only be able to do this once. So if all the MPs have voted, let's say 300 to 100 in favour of doing something, and then it goes to the Lords and they say no, and it's just going to go back to the Commons again, and let's have a guess what's going to happen. People are going to vote the same again. They're not going to, change the tune. If it was like a borderline vote of 201 votes, 299, there's a slight chance it might work, but come on. Anyway, so I thought, right, so that's what his idea is, and what's more is you might think, well, he could have this idea into law, but they've got to accept, the House of Lords have got to accept this new law before it goes through. Well, apparently not. He can just push it through regardless, and basically cut them out. So, for people who don't fully understand, it may be that you are not familiar with British politics, or you're young and you've not really learnt about it yet, or you're just from another country or whatever. So anyway, this is kind of how it goes. So, the House of Commons has a debate, and they vote about it. So it may be, right, I'm an MP, not the Prime Minister, just a Member of Parliament that's MP. And I've got an idea that I want to tax anyone who buys a football £5. Alright, so that's my idea, my amazing idea. To raise some money, tax everybody £5, right? So we all shout and vote about it. You've probably seen it on the telly. It looks something like this. And they're all rah, rah, rah. Obviously this is a class full of school kids, but that's the room with the green chairs. Ironically, I would say that you've got 2 or 3 disabled children in wheelchairs. Now, that's not the irony. The irony is that is also where the disabled ministers sit. So they've actually set this up quite well. There's John Burker, I believe, in the back. I don't know if that's clear enough to see him. Yeah, it is indeed him. Nice that you took. Anyway, getting sidetracked. This all happens in this big building. This is called the Houses of Parliament. The reason why it's called houses and not house is because inside this building is this chamber called the House of Commons and this chamber called the House of Lords. And What happens is that in the House of Commons, which is the first one, the one with the green chairs, which is where the Prime Minister and the Cabinet are, they, want to tax £5. They've decided, after all, this is a good idea. Then it goes to the House of Lords and they vote on it. Now, they cannot amend anything or change anything. They simply get it as it comes through. In other words, the football wants £5 worth of tax on. They've agreed to it. Shall we allow it through? And they then vote on it. Now, they've got sort of three choices. They can say, yes, go ahead. No, absolutely not. Or send it back, think about it, and bring it back again. If they're sort of almost there, but not quite. Once they both agree and it's good, the Queen then ratifies it. Now she does have the power to say, no, I'm not going to do that, but she never uses that power. It's basically, how would you say it? It's like a traditional power that she holds, but it's never used. It's more like, can't think of the word now, like a symbolic thing. So, in this case, the House of Commons, £5 on the football. And the House of Lords says, that's a great idea. So therefore the Queen says, fine. And then what happens? It goes into law. You get the new law, and that's it. And then all footballs that are bought and sold from the date that they agree get charged £5. Now, laws can be made, they can be changed, and they can be removed in this process, but I guarantee you that very few laws are ever revoked. It's always a one-way. The rule book, or the book of laws, if you like, it just goes increasingly. Now, this is extremely dangerous, what is going on, simply because what they are proposing is to get rid of this. And so basically Cameron says something, and if he's got the majority government, which he has, or if Labour have got the majority government, which they had, but not now, what happens is, if their Prime Minister says we do something and their own side is okay with that, it's automatically law, because who's there to stop it? Well, maybe the Queen, but she never uses it, so it's automatically law. And the fact that they can send it to the House of Lords and they can say no, but only once, means that it goes back and they just vote again. Potentially it could happen on the same day. They could agree by something at 10 o'clock. The House of Lords says no at 12 o'clock. Go think about it again. And at 1 o'clock they say we thought about it again, yes. And then it's at the Queen's desk to sign, and that's it. And you might think, well, I don't really care about welfare cuts and tax credits and single mums and there's a sort of, if you like, the target of this particular cut, which has forces Cameron to spit his dummy out, but it's actually extremely dangerous because, okay, this was the one story that caused it. The Lords up there said no, and he didn't like it, and now he's looking to cut them out. But that means every single decision he makes in the future, if this goes through, which it looks like it will do, because he can somehow sidestep them and go ahead anyway, despite the fact that they should be able to stop him. There's a way around it now. Basically, here, look. Crucially, the new rules will be written into the statute book via parliamentary legislation. This means that if Piers tries to oppose the rule change, that's these guys in the red chairs, the government will be able to use its Parliament Act to force them to back down and accept the loss of power. In other words, it's like two people in a room and we've both got to agree before we do something, but then I say to the other person in the room, if you don't agree with what I say, I'm just going to cut you down and go ahead anyway. Well, where's the democracy in that? In fact, that would render this entire bunch of people pointless, just overpaid, pointless people. What can they do? Well, we can say yes or we can say no, but then it goes on anyway. What a load of rubbish. And the worst thing is, he can do anything now. And, the issue about, tax credits is another issue. I mean, I feel quite strongly about it. I don't personally receive tax credits, but you can argue, well, the parents should go out and work if they want more money. Yeah, that's to a point true. But there's some people that for whatever reason can't, or some people that for whatever reason won't. Why should their children have to suffer? And you may think, well, they deserve to suffer. Do they? Do the kids, if, I'm a 2, 3, 4-year-old and my mum or dad decide not to work, why should I have nothing as a child until I hit sort of 16, 17 when I maybe have the ability to move out in some way, shape or form, although that's now looking less likely as well. I read an article the other day that house prices in the UK are going up on average £55 a day. Now you might think that's not very much. It equates to about $80 or $90 a day. If you're not earning $80 to $90 a day that is spare that you can just set on fire if you like, there is no way that you are going to be able to buy a house, because of course then there's interest and so on and so forth on top of that, and fees and whatever, and insurance, and then God forbid you might have to eat as well. So there's no chance of buying a house today unless you are earning a ridiculous amount of money. So it's not always, the kid can, just stick it out until they're 16 and then buy that, it's not like that. And besides, if that was the case anyway, the kid would be completely destroyed because he never had anything as a kid. And we all know the psychological damage that can do, There's one person in a million who can sort of, like Alan Sugar, Lord Sugar as he is now, who can somehow cut through that. But, most kids, they're born on the council estate and they die on the council estate. It's just the way society is. They talk about social mobility, but anyway, it's for another day. Thanks for looking at this. If you're still with me, you've done well listening to me ramblings. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.